The door slid open, and a gust of cool air rushed through the Nike flagship store. Darius Cole stepped inside with the kind of quiet confidence that turns heads without trying. No designer suit, no entourage, just a plain gray hoodie, joggers, and a cap pulled low. He moved with purpose, scanning the displays until his eyes locked on the newest Air Max series gleaming beneath the lights. He picked one up, the sole flexed a little too easily under his thumb. The stitching around the heel wasn't what he'd approved on the prototype months ago. Something about it felt off. Behind the counter, two sales associates whispered. They were young, maybe mid-20s, fresh energy, sharp smiles, and the kind of self-assurance that often comes before wisdom. They'd seen customers walk in all day, snap photos, ask about prices they couldn't afford. To them, Darius looked like another window shopper. "Need help finding your size, man," one of them called, friendly but faintly teasing. Darius didn't look up, just checking the detailing. He turned the shoe sideways, studying the swoosh placement, the curve slightly off. That's not supposed to be that close to the mid-panel. The other associate chuckled under his breath. "We got a lot of self-proclaimed experts lately," he muttered. Darius set the shoe down. "I wouldn't call it self-proclaimed," he said evenly. He walked along the display wall, fingers tracing each model. At the end of the row, he stopped, turned, and asked, "When did this shipment arrive?" "Yesterday," the first associate replied. "Straight from Oregon. You thinking of buying or just reviewing?" A flicker of amusement crossed Darius's face. "Reviewing," he said. "Professionally." The tone landed wrong on them, half joke, half challenge. They traded glances, misreading it. "Professionally, huh?" The second one said, grinning. "So you do sneaker blogs or TikTok unboxings?" "Something like that," Darius answered. He smiled faintly, not defensive, just patient. The manager, Mia, noticed the exchange from behind the service desk. She had that polished calm of someone who'd handled 100 customers a day. "Everything okay here?" she asked, approaching with clipboard in hand. "Perfect," Darius said. "Just curious about this model. The air pocket feels shallower than last quarter's design." That sentence made Mia pause. She blinked. "You compared it to last quarter's design?" "Yeah," Darius replied. "The structure should have shifted by 3 millimeters to stabilize a forefoot, but this feels unchanged." The associates exchanged looks again, this time not mocking, just confused. Sir," the first one said, "are you saying you work for Nike or something?" Darius shrugged. "Something like that." They laughed, not cruelly, just uncertain how else to react. "Right, got it?" "Something like that." Mia gave a polite nod, ready to move on, but Darius wasn't done. He took out his phone, tapped a contact, and held it up for her to see. A quick flash of a name appeared on the screen. A. Knight, Product Ops. Her eyebrows rose. That name belonged to the regional product operations head. "I just want to make sure you got the correct batch," Darius said calmly. "There's a variant issue we've been tracking. The cushion density wasn't supposed to ship out yet." Mia's clipboard lowered a little. "You're saying these are test units?" "Potentially," Darius replied. "That's why I asked about arrival time." He smiled lightly. "You might want to hold sales until we confirm." The two associates straightened up, color draining from their faces. They looked at the boxes stacked neatly behind the counter, suddenly unsure of everything they'd just said. Before anyone could speak, the store phone rang. Mia picked it up. Her expression changed within seconds. Surprise first, then tension. Yes, he's here right now," she said quickly. "Understood." She hung up, turned back to Darius, and swallowed hard. "Mr. Cole, headquarters just asked for confirmation that you inspected the new line personally. They said to, thank you for dropping by." Silence hit the floor. Both associates froze, realization sinking like ice. They'd spent the last 5 minutes doubting the lead designer of the very shoes they were selling. Darius looked at them, not angry, just thoughtful. "You know," he said quietly, "I used to work in stores like this. Long hours, too many customers, not enough patience. It teaches you how to read people, or at least you think it does." The younger associate swallowed. "Sir, we mean—" "I know," Darius interrupted gently. "You assumed. We all do that sometimes." He turned back to Mia. "You got good staff. Just remember, curiosity sounds better than confidence when you don't have the facts." He started toward the door, but halfway there, he stopped and looked back. "Tell your team to check the heel tags on every box. If they read batch code 47B, pull them. They're the defective run." Mia nodded quickly. Understood, sir. Thank you. Darius smiled, small and sincere. Thank you for selling the vision right. As the door closed behind him, the store fell into a stunned hush. One associate whispered, "That was the guy who designed the Visionaire series." The other replied, "We were laughing at him." Mia exhaled slowly. Lesson learned, boys. Some people don't need to wear a badge to prove who they are. A faint buzz came from the display screen above the counter. The looped Nike ad flickered into life. Respect the craft. Respect the creator. The words hung there like they were meant for everyone inside. Outside, Darius pulled his hood up against the drizzle and smiled to himself. It wasn't pride he felt. It was relief. Relief that sometimes a quiet correction works better than a loud confrontation. He unlocked his car, slid in, and glanced once more to the glass walls of the store. Inside, the staff were already checking the boxes, focused and serious. He murmured under his breath, "Design's about details, and people are part of the design." Then he drove off into the night. What about you? Would you have spoken up if someone doubted your work? Or would you have let your silence prove your worth? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget, subscribe to Residential Story for more moments that remind us why respect always comes first. That night, the Nike flagship store closed early. No music, no chatter, just the dull hum of ceiling lights and the weight of what had happened. Mia sat in her office, replaying the moment in her head. The phone call, the look on Darius's face, the quiet way he'd left. Corporate called again, asking for a detailed report about the encounter. She hadn't realized then that Darius Cole wasn't just a designer. He was the lead innovator behind the Air Max Vision line, a man whose ideas had redefined Nike sneaker tech for the past 5 years. And she let her staff laugh at him. Out on the floor, Jason and Matt, the two sales associates, boxed up the defective pairs one by one. Jason's hand shook slightly. "You think we're getting fired?" Matt didn't answer right away. "I don't know, but after tonight, I wouldn't blame him if we did." They'd already been warned. Don't judge customers by their looks. But something about Darius's quiet tone had unnerved them more than any scolding manager could. There was no anger, no shouting, just calm authority. That made it worse. The next morning, the sun hit the store windows like nothing had happened. Crowds lined up for the weekend release drop. The same chaos as usual. But halfway through the shift, an unfamiliar email landed in Mia's inbox. Subject: Internal visit. Priority level 1. She clicked it. Mr. Darius Cole will arrive at 3 p.m. for internal inspection. Prepare the team. Her breath caught. He was coming back. 3:05 p.m. The door slid open again. Darius walked in, this time in a black Nike tech jacket and clean white sneakers. No hoodie, no cap, but still that same quiet energy, steady, unreadable. He wasn't alone. 2 corporate reps followed him, tablets in hand. Every employee in the store froze. Mia approached. "Mr. Cole, welcome back." "Appreciate it," he said, his voice even. "Heard you handled the batch issue fast." "Yes, sir. We isolated every 47B unit." Distributions paused. "Good," Darius replied. He turned toward Jason and Matt. "And you too." Jason swallowed hard. "We learned our lesson, sir." Matt nodded. "Won't happen again." Darius studied him for a long moment, his expression impossible to read. Then he said, "Good to hear, because I didn't come back to fire anyone." They blinked. He glanced at corporate reps. "I came back to hire." Mia frowned slightly. "Hire, sir?" He smiled faintly. "We're opening a new concept store in downtown LA. Something different. Not just sales, but education. I need people who've made mistakes and actually learn from them. People who'll teach others what not to do." Jason's jaw dropped. "You mean?" Darius nodded. "If you're willing to start over, you've got a spot on my pilot team." Matt's voice cracked. "Sir, after how we treated you, why would you—" "Because you owned it," Darius cut in, "and that's rarer than talent." For a second, the whole store seemed to exhale. Even Mia's eyes softened. But just as the tension started to ease, Darius's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowned slightly, then turned to Mia. "Looks like we got another problem," he said. She stiffened. "Another defective batch?" He shook his head slowly. "No, a different kind of defect." He held the phone up. On the screen, a leaked photo. It showed one of the associates from this very store recording him secretly during his first visit, posting it online with a mocking caption. "When randoms walk and acting like they own Nike." The silence turned heavy. "Jason, and Matt looked horrified. Sir, that wasn't us. I know, Darius said quietly. But someone here thought clout mattered more than respect. Mia's stomach twisted. We'll find out who. Don't bother, Darius interrupted. Corporate already traced the upload. He turned toward the back hallway. Let's talk to your digital team. 5 minutes later, the culprit was standing in front of them, a part-time social media coordinator named Leah. She was pale, trembling, phone in hand. Sir, I swear I didn't mean to. You filmed me, Darius said, voice low but controlled. Then you posted for laughs. Tears welled in her eyes. It was just a joke. I didn't even know who you were. That's the problem, Darius said. You didn't know and you didn't care. He took a step closer, not in anger, but with that same weight of calm that made people realize they crossed a line. I came in here to test authenticity, he said, to see if the people selling my work believed in what they were selling. Instead, I found people performing for followers. Leah's lip quivered. I'm sorry. He nodded once. So am I? He handed Mia a folder. Her access is revoked. Effective immediately. Mia nodded silently. Darius turned to Jason and Matt. You two, meet me in L.A. Monday morning. New training program. Starts then. Let's see if you can teach respect the same way you learned it. They nodded, stunned. As Darius headed for the door again, the shoppers outside had begun whispering. Word was spreading fast. By the time he reached the parking lot, a small crowd had gathered, phones raised. Someone shouted, Yo, are you the designer from a Vision line? Darius just smiled, waved once, and said, I'm just a guy who believes work should speak louder than words. He slid into his car, started the engine, and drove off as the camera flashes faded behind him. Inside the store, Mia watched him go. She whispered under her breath. He didn't just correct a design flaw, he corrected us. On the wall behind her, the Nike slogan shimmered under the light. Just do right. What would you have done if someone doubted you like that? Would you prove them wrong quietly? Or call them out loud? Let us know below, and don't forget, subscribe to Residential Stories for more tales where respect always wins in the end. Darius drove in silence. The city blurred by, neon lights flickering across the windshield, rain streaking down like faint reminders of the past. He wasn't angry. He'd been through worse. But something about the day stayed heavy, not because of the disrespect, but because of what it revealed. People had forgotten what authenticity looked like. He pulled into the underground lot of Nike's West Coast headquarters, badge scanner glowing green as the gate lifted. Inside, the building was almost empty, 9:42 p.m., long after most had gone home. He parked, grabbed his laptop bag, and headed straight to the elevator. As the door slid shut, a message popped on his phone. HQ board wants your report tonight. They heard about the flagship incident. He sighed. He knew what they wanted, the corporate angle, the optics, the PR-safe summary that would protect the brand. But that wasn't the story he was going to tell. In the boardroom upstairs, the lights flickered on as motion sensors detected him. A long table, 12 empty seats, a massive screen at the end. He placed his laptop down and began typing. Subject line, field report, human design test. His fingers moved slowly, deliberately. They didn't fail because they mocked me. They failed because they forgot the purpose of what we build. Sneakers aren't just fabric and rubber. Their identity, their confidence. And if the people selling them can't see that, we've lost the soul of the brand. He paused, staring at the words. Then he added, we say just do it. Maybe it's time we remind people what it really means. He hit send. A few seconds later, the board chair's reply came through. Approved. Full autonomy granted for the re-education project. Launch next quarter. Darius leaned back in his chair. That was it. The beginning of something bigger. 3 months later. Downtown L.A. buzzed with energy. A brand new Nike storefront stood on 7th Avenue. Minimalist glass design. Black and white theme. Glowing swoosh suspended midair. But this wasn't a regular store. Inside, digital screens played loops of real people. Janitors, students, bus drivers, nurses. Talking about what their sneakers meant to them. No celebrities. No influencers. Just stories. And in the center of it all stood Jason and Matt, now wearing black staff polos embroidered with one simple phrase. Designed to respect. They weren't just selling shoes anymore. They were leading small workshops. Sessions where customers could learn sneaker care, design basics, even business lessons from Nike mentors. And today, Darius was visiting. He walked in quietly, as always. Jason spotted him first. Mr. Cole! he said, breaking into a grin. Welcome to the new spot. Darius nodded, eyes scanning the store. Looks good. Real good. Matt chuckled. We've had some long days, but people love it. We get more thank yous and complaints now. Good sign, Darius said. That means it's working. Just then, a teenager at the customization booth called out, Yo, can I show you something? He held up a pair of Air Max Vision sneakers he'd painted by hand. One swoosh blue, the other red. I call this balance, the kid said proudly. Saw a video about you, man. The one where the staff laughed at you? Made me want to design my own stuff. Darius blinked, surprised. You saw that? The kid nodded. Yeah, whole internet did. People said you handled it like a boss. Jason and Matt exchanged glances. The video Leah had posted, the one that embarrassed them, had blown up after Nike reposted it with a different caption. Respect isn't shown by how you dress. It's proven by how you act. What had once been mockery had turned into a movement. Darius smiled, shook the kid's hand, and said, Balance, huh? That's a good name. You keep designing like that, and you'll be taking my job soon. The kid laughed, glowing with pride. As Darius turned back toward the display wall, he caught his reflection in the mirror, and for the first time in years, he felt complete. He remembered the early days, being broke, invisible, ignored in the same kind of stores he now helped lead. Back then, all he wanted was to prove himself. Now, all he wanted was to teach. Later that evening, after the store closed, Darius walked outside. The city lights shimmered like gold dust. He looked up at the giant Nike billboard above the building, the campaign slogan he'd personally written after that night months ago. Just do right. The words glowed against the dark skyline, bold and timeless. A group of young employees stood nearby, locking up for the night. One of them asked, Mr. Cole, what made you write that slogan anyway? He smiled. Because doing right is harder than doing fast, but it lasts longer. They nodded quietly, letting that sink in. As they walked away, Darius stayed a moment longer, watching people pass by. Every kind of face, every kind of story, he whispered to himself. Maybe that's a real design. Not shoes, not brands. Just people learning how to walk right. He slid his hands into his pockets, smiled faintly, and started walking down the street. One man blending into the city he'd quietly changed. And if you've ever been doubted, overlooked, or underestimated, remember this. You don't need to shout to be seen. Sometimes the quietest step echoes the loudest. What about you? Would you have handled it calmly? Or would you have called them out on the spot? Tell us in the comments. And if this story inspired you, subscribe to Residential Stories for more moments that remind us respect never goes out of style.